In today's class, we're going to take a look at the concept of AI agents and what they do. How is an AI agent different than just giving a prompt to a model and getting a response? We can study the Agent Software Development Kit documentation on the Open AI developer site, and we see the kinds of functionality that it provides. To begin with, let's take a look at this first program we're going to work with, and all of this code is in the attached lab book, which is provided here. We're going to go through this in class, but right now let's just get a concept of how it works. So here we're using Sublime Text Editor, and customarily we would use an editor called Cursor, which is an AI-enabled editor. For our first class, I'm using Sublime because it's less complicated, right? It doesn't introduce any extra initial unnecessary complexity to begin with. So let's see how this program is going to run first of all. And maybe some of you have worked with IT and DevOps before, and maybe some of you it's the first time. So let's open our PowerShell terminal. This works equivalently on Mac and Windows. And let's go to the directory where this code is saved in. And again, ask you to take all this right up from the beginning yourself. But for right now, I just want to give you a preview, right? I want to show you the end of the destination, so you're going to see what this will look like. So here I saved this in a directory called Activity1 Agent Demo. And I suggest when you go through the lab, if you're not too familiar with directories and file names, just stick with whatever I provided here. So that's our location. Let's go back to our PowerShell. And again, some of these commands you might be seeing for the first time. That's fine. Very quickly, you're going to get familiar with them. But we're going to change to that directory. And here you see we have our TypeScript file. Now, what's TypeScript? Well, you might have heard that customarily AI is programmed in Python, and we will be using a lot of Python. However, the purpose of this agent is to set up a web form and to allow interaction with the user through a web server. And that's more easily and customarily done using TypeScript. So that's what we're going to see today. So here is my first program, Activity1, success first, and there's our TypeScript program. Now, how do we run that? So we're going to do some TypeScript stuff here, npx TypeScript compiler. Don't worry about it for right now. We're going to introduce that gently, but for right now, we just want to see the end result. So we run. Now, here's the file which is provided in your lab book. And something you should never do, which is what I'm doing now, is show your API key, because if it got out in the wild, if somebody posted it on GitHub or something, other people could use it. It would build to your account. I'm going to burn this key as soon as I finish the video, but I will show you how to set up your own key, and that's what we're going to be doing in class. So this is our TypeScript file. And how do we run that? Well, let's go and start PowerShell. And let's change the directory that we're in. And if you're not too familiar with basic file handling, don't worry, you'll get it pretty quickly. Right, so here we're going to start to type our directory name and then press the tab key for autocomplete. So there's my directory, and your lab book instructions are going to talk you exactly through how to do this. We're going to do exactly this in class. But right now, let's look at this file, Activity1. And that is the file here in Sublime, right? So how do we run that? Well, we do some TypeScript stuff that we'll talk about. npx, that's just our runner, right? It's our TypeScript runner. We got that when we installed TypeScript. TSX saying it's a TypeScript compilable file, and there's our file name. Now it's taking a couple of seconds longer to run, and in a second you're going to see an error, and I'm going to teach you how to fix the error. Because we have not, there we go, there's the error. It's saying it's missing credentials. Why? Because you never ever want to hard code your API key, which you're paying for not much. I mean, I've been using this key for a while now, making a lot of labs. It's been like 50 or 75 cents, so it's not a lot of money, but you are going to want to put some balance in your OpenAI account when you create an API key. It's all in the lab book how to do that. But the way we fix that now is we do something called putting our API key in an environment variable, so it will run on your local premises, but it won't be stored in the code. So we're going to use this formulation right here, and this works the same for Windows and Mac. So we're using the $env operator once again. If you're not a DevOps person, if you're not really understanding what that means, it's like driving a car. Somebody shows you how to turn the steering wheel and change the gear of the transmission, step on the brake, step on the accelerator. You don't need to know how the engine is running. You don't need to know how this works as an AI developer. You just need to be shown the form one time, then you can do it. So here I'm going to put my API key in there. And now this whole line I'm going to paste into my PowerShell terminal. Why? Because as long as this PowerShell terminal is open, that will be persisted. When I close the terminal, it's gone. I would need to do it again. But for right now, I'm going to copy that, say Control-C, go to my PowerShell terminal, Control-V to paste. There it is, enter. And now, something called OpenAI API key, that is now available. It's in the sessional storage space of my PowerShell terminal. All right, that's good. So what do I do next? Well, first of all, let's comment this out because that's not TypeScript. If I ran it like that, it would be error. And I believe I should have done everything correctly now. So let's save. Let's go back to our PowerShell terminal. Let's rerun the command, npx TypeScript compiler, and then program name. Now, we're going to go through the code and we're going to see what's happening, but this is a simulation for the sake of our learning activity here, because I didn't want to give you too much at one time, right? I'm guessing most of you have probably not written a TypeScript full stack web application using Express and so on, but that's going to be in the back end, right? That is going to be a web server with a form, which is going to connect our agent code to allow it to converse with user. All you need to know right now is turn 1 and turn 2, right? These are simulating that the user, through the web form probably, the agent is asked a question, and we're going to see where the questions are posited in a few minutes. But the agent is asked a question, or the AI agent is asked the student, what's your reason for wanting to join the program? And they're saying, or do you anticipate you might have any difficulties or something? And they're going to say what that might be. And the purpose of this, we're going to evolve this agent over time. So the agent will actually give mentoring and give advice to the student to help them be successful. It's an interesting fact of psychology that when people are given direction or instruction by an AI, they receive it more readily than by a human being. Because if a person tells them something, they might feel, threatened or they're being attacked or something. The AI, it's not having that emotional. So it's quite an interesting emerging field of organizational psychology, how humans relate with AIs. Next, the AI is asking a certain question, and the human is answering now, not by a web page in this simulation, but we're just hard coding in that answer. And this is how our program's going to run. Right, so Our video was going on about 10 minutes now, and my main intention with this was to just give you a little bit of a preview of the first class in writing AI agents. It's going to take 4 sessions, probably 4 4-hour classes to go through this completely. Gives us lots of time to understand all of the dynamics here. I'm just going to take a couple of seconds now. I'm going to switch over to my webcam. So once again, let's do a quick little synopsis of our program. So how did we make an AI agent? People go and take, extended courses on this, and there is a lot to it, right? There's a lot of things we're not talking about here, guardrails and extensions. My goal for this lesson is to teach you how to build the very simplest little nugget, right? The simplest little kernel of understanding. It's like getting a bookshelf in your room. Once the bookshelf is there, you can always keep putting books on top of it. But let's see what's going on. So first of all, as discussed, this is going to be written in the format of a TypeScript program. So we're going to have a program file here on your hard drive. And what are we going to do in that program? Well, first of all, we're going to instantiate an agent. If you don't know what instantiate means, if you haven't done object-oriented programming, no problem, we'll catch you up. But if you want to learn how to swim, you got to get thrown in the water at some point. So let's throw you in the water here. So right here on line 10, there is a class which we got available in our TypeScript program because we imported the library from npmjs.com. And we're using this line. We're saying agent equals new agent. We're instantiating an object called an agent. So we're going to say we're going to create an agent. And in this case, we don't mean James Bond or, Matt Helm or something. In this case, an agent is a class. It's a TypeScript, in this case, class, which gives us access to the methods and the APIs we're going to need to run. Now, the amazing thing about this is we don't have to write this stuff. Right? It's like in the early days of computers back in the 60s and 70s. If they wanted a data report, they'd need somebody with a PhD to go and run it. Then Thomas Codd invented SQL, and now any data analyst with a few months of training can run sophisticated reports. So similarly, now we as business developers, as entrepreneurs who want to serve our business domain, we just need to learn a little bit of syntax formulation, and then we'll be all set. So here, we've now created an agent. What's going to happen next? Well, if we look at our code. Oh, by the way, here's what's going on with the agent. We give it a name, instructions, and rules. So when the agent is told to do something, when the agent is told to interact with a user, they're going to interrogate their rules and instructions. They're going to say, well, we want to find out how ready this person is. Do they anticipate any risk factors, suggested support strategy, how we can support them? And we're going to give them a success for a statement. Now, traditionally, if any of you gentlemen or ladies has written programs in the past, you understand that to write open-ended conversational programs with Java, for example, that would be very difficult because you'd have to think of every possible way of interacting with the user. Whereas with AI, because AI agents are empathetic, they're trained on human languages, all we need to do is state the intention, right? So this is intention for programming. So we say what we want. The agent can actually modify, can learn as it's interacting. This person's conversational style can match mirror, make it more workable. Maybe somebody's first language is English, right? They say, well, talk to me in Persian or talk to me in Spanish or something, and the AI will know that. So we state the intention that we want our agent to probe, in this case, the intake candidate's motivations. How ready do they feel they are? Do they anticipate any difficulties? And the AI can formulate that in manners most receptive to that person, right? So first of all, we create an agent. Why? Oops, let me share my screen here. Okay, yeah, there we go. So we create an agent, and the reason why we're doing that, it gives us access. So this object, this TypeScript object, gives us access to methods, which are called APIs, application program interfaces. Methods in the agent class, and then we can start doing things like what we just said, declare intention, have agent converse with user. All right, good. What's next? Now, this is something which is a TypeScript thing. We're making a main function. We're saying it's asynchronous. We're creating a new memory session. The new memory session is going to be our tool for letting two or more agents interact with each other. It's program stuff. We'll talk about it for right now. Just like when you drive your car, just accept you turn on the key, step on the gas, turn the steering wheel. You don't need to know how engine transmission works, or you don't need to know how internal combustion works. You don't need to understand this stuff. You just need to learn how to apply it, which is our goal here. Right, so we're creating a memory session, and then we're creating some objects, right? Anything you see in TypeScript that looks like that is an object, and this is what enables the agent to emit some statement based on the instructions we gave it. How it does it, that's up to the AI model that this is connected to, which is ChatGPT. And then we have some sessions of interaction. And then finally, so all of this stuff now is in a function called main, but we haven't actually done any work yet because we haven't called the function, because we're calling the main function here. So the program actually starts when you get there. So are you with me? This is actually pretty simple. This is not hard. I teach SQL as well. I would say it's about the same as SQL, and everybody can learn SQL in a couple of months. So you can learn AI in a couple of months. So we created an agent, and then we called methods of the agent. Oh, first of all, we gave it instructions. We gave it a name and instructions. And the name is important because later we're going to see how we can make multi-agent orchestrations. Orchestration, it's like like a musical conductor or something with a baton. Orchestration is organizing the choreography of the method calls. Organizing the method calls of the choreography. Yeah, the choreography is just like dancing, right? It's just the sequence of activity of method calls. So create an agent, call methods on the agent. And that can also call tools, right? So later we're going to see how the LLM, so the agent conducts an interaction with the user. The agent is in charge of sending users information to the large language model, ChatGPT, Claude, Grok, whatever we're working with. And it may also send a reference of tools we have. Now, tools are local functions that we have in our TypeScript environment, which we might use to assess according to some standards. Let's see if I can show you something else here. Hang on. As you can see, it's just a TypeScript function. We're instantiating the tool class. We're giving it some instruction, evaluate how strong the candidate's weekly time commitment is. And again, the amazing thing about AI is we don't have to declaratively have a bunch of if-then statements. We let the AI determine that and give it feedback. So here's another tool evaluating hours per week, and then it's returning the results. So here we're creating an agent, and we're using our agent. Well, actually, that's just, I pasted in here the code from before. So anyway, that is going to wrap it up for our video today. The reason I'm sending this out before class is because it takes people a while when they're exposed to new concepts to process them. So watch the video if you like, take a quick look through the lab book. If you want, you can install TypeScript on your computer following the instructions. You can go ahead and get yourself an API key. In fact, let's wrap this up by looking at how you're going to get an API key, and I will erase the API key I've used here, and then I will send out the video. Any questions before class, be in touch with me. And I'm going to strongly encourage you, because there is so much to learn here and so much to know. Get familiar with AI part of learning methodology. In the old days, we had to buy stacks, hundreds of dollars of books and read them and find out all the information. Well, now you can just have Perplexity do the same thing. So here I'm just going to ask it, show me how to get a AI API key. So there's the URL you need to go to. You need to, again, if you have an account, go ahead and make an account. Right, so a couple of things you need to do: install TypeScript on your computer, install Sublime Text Editor, and get yourself an OpenAI API key. Then you'll be all set for the first day's lab. So we're going to go here to API keys. And here's some of the ones I created. There's the one I used today. And I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that because, conceivably somebody might go out and put this lab book on GitHub. We don't want that. So in fact, I'll get rid of all of these. I don't need any of these for right now. So practice good, sort of good discipline in terms of managing your API keys. And if you accidentally erase something, doesn't matter, just make a new one. And what you're going to do here now is say, create new secret key, give it any name, create the key. And when it creates, it's going to show you there on a panel. Copy and paste that, put it in Keeper or Notion or however you organize yourself, because after you've created it, it's going to show it to you once. You won't be able to see it again. All right, folks, that concludes our video for right now. Please go and get to work on this, and we'll see you in class.